Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aprilia Wahyuni. Here I want to explain about types of sampling, especially probability sampling. So what is sampling? Sampling is the process of selecting units from a population of interest so that by studying the sample, we may fairly generalize our result back to the population from which they were chosen. Divide into two. First, probability sampling, and the second is non-probability sampling. What is probability sampling? Probability sampling is a sampling technique in which researchers choose samples from a larger population using a method based on the theory of probability. This sampling method considers every member of the population and forms samples based on a fixed process. For example, in a population of 1,000 members, every member will have a 1 per 1,000 chance of being selected to be part of a sample. Probably sampling eliminates bias in the population and gives all members a fair chance to be included in the sample. Probability sampling divided into four. First, simple random sampling. The second, cluster sampling. Third, systematic sampling. Fourth, stratified random sampling. Simple random sampling. Simple random sampling is a reliable method of obtaining information where every single member of a population is chosen randomly, merely by chance. Each individual has the same probability of being chosen to be a part of a sample. For example, a researcher has a list of 100 people in the population and wants to select 10 people to be a sample. First, everyone in the population is marked with a number from 1 to 100. The number is then scrambled. Randomization can mimic the social gathering model or can now use a random number application. The 10 individuals whose numbers came out were the research samples. This technique is usually used in a homogeneous population. Suppose someone wants to research the learning process in the class in one class. The total number of students is 100 people. The researchers can interview 10 people as a sample in depth. The second is cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is a method where the researchers divide the entire population into sections or clusters that represent a population. Clusters are identified and included in a sample based on demographic parameters like age, sex, location, and etc. This makes it very simple for a survey creator to derive effective inference from the feedback. For example, a survey on the level of confidence of NU and Muhammadiyah residents regarding the statement that Borobudur is a legacy of King Solomon. The full list of the NU and Muhammadiyah population is not available. It's also impossible to make it. So the researchers choose which branch of the NU and Muhammadiyah organization to be sampled. Each organization obtains a list of its members. Clusters sampling means choose the available clusters because there is no data that shows all the population. Third, systematic sampling. Researchers use the systematic sampling method to choose the sample members. Third, systematic sampling. Researchers use the systematic sampling method to choose the sample members of a population at regular intervals. It requires the selection of a starting point for the sample and sample size that can be repeated at regular intervals. This system of sampling method has predefined range, and hence this sampling technique is the less time consuming. For example, a researcher wants to examine the consumption. For example, researchers want to examine the consumption patterns of students of the Faculty of Economics at a university. The total population is 1,000 students. Researchers want to conduct a survey on 100 students only. The sampling technique is carried out the researcher's first plan. For example, the sample taken is a list of serial numbers 10 and their multiplies. Then, the researchers randomize the list of 1,000 numbers that were originally sequential. After being randomized, seen again, those whose names are in the order of number 10 and its multiplies are taken as a sample. And the last is stratified random sampling. Stratified random sampling is a method in which the researchers divide the population into smaller groups that don't overlap but represent the entire population. While sampling, these groups can be organized and then draw a sample from each group separately. For example, research on the importance of religion among Hayam Wuruk university students. Researchers make strata, which are new students, which are second year students, which are third year, and which are final year students. Each stratum or level was sampled proportionally using random sampling. For example, the number of samples of new students is 100 people. The number of samples of other level students is the same or close to 100 people. If only one final year student is sampled, for example, then the sampling is not proportional. I think that's all about my explanation. Thank you for watching.